Welcome to the Queen Divas, Queens of Fitness podcast. Join your hosts, three-time WBFF world champions and WBFF royalty, Alicia Gowans and Stephanie Ayala McHugh, as we explore all things female health, training, competing, mindset, and living the fitness life every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the latest episode of Queen Divas podcast with my beautiful co-host, Stephanie Ayala McHugh.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing amazing. How are you, my love? I miss you.
So good to see your face. We've had a few weeks offline, so it's so good to see your face. What's been happening in the world of Steph? How's that foot?
Foot is doing good. You guys update. Obviously, they had given me about a 4-week recovery process from when I, got into the boot, and I obviously got out of that very quickly. I started trying to do my own thing. Now, 4 weeks after, I did try squatting for my first time. So I feel like that was progress, although it wasn't, what we're used to. It's not like what we're obviously really feeling like we're exerting a lot of energy, but it was progress. So I feel like everything is, looking really upright. So I'm very happy, and prep is going well. So we are, just doing what we can at the moment. That's all I can control. And, nutrition and doing a lot of rehab work. that is very painful. I think that's just kind of one of the things I've been, sticking to the most is the stuff.
How are you feeling it physically? Is it, do you, when you did that first squat session, for example, did you actually, did it feel like it didn't move as normally? Did the pattern of the squat itself feel a little off, or you're pretty good?
It didn't. You know what it is? I'm not allowing myself to put so much pressure on the forefront of my foot. So I'm doing a lot of more balancing within my heel. So this is why, over the last few weeks, I've been trying to just do normal, things with my own body and stabilize a little bit better. And knowing that I can't really balance too much with my outer toes, especially on my left foot, I have been overcompensating with my Achilles. So this is why my rehab lady has actually been kicking my ass with a lot of calf work and Achilles work, because she's like, you're overcompensating, which is not a problem because you're still able to do a lot of other things. And being someone very conscious of her body, and I'm very aware, and I'm very in tune with kind of what I'm activating. So I felt comfortable enough to be able to execute, a barbell, back squat. So it was light. It wasn't something that I would have just, popped on, and I know that I have to really, really balance and push through my full foot. So yeah, it was more like mid to back foot that I was using. So it was good. I feel like if anything, I do have pain, and this is something that I get asked a lot by my clients. Like, hey, are you having some pain? And I think really the thing is that I'm going to have the pain, and I'm going to be scared. I think this is natural, right? We're going to have that. And I just have to kind of play around and, work through it, because some of the pain is just kind of there for a little bit, a little nagging, a little uncomfortable, sharp pain, but it's not something that feels like, oh my gosh, a shift. I was very, very worried, at the first part of the recovery side. I was having shifts every time I did a step, but now it's not like that. So I'm feeling really good about, being able to do even just body weighted things. And now that I'm adding a little bit more weight, I feel like there's certain things I cannot flex my toes. So I tried doing, and this is probably something I shouldn't have done, but I was just giving it again a whirl.
I just wanted to push my boundaries, see where I was at.
To test my limits, and definitely barbell walk, or no, I'm sorry, not barbell, just walking lunges, period. I cannot do that flexion in the toe is just too much still. So I'm going to have to do everything, obviously stabilized, as far as my Bulgarian split squats. Those never get easier. So I have been, just kind of working on that, and it doesn't put the weight on that back foot. So I feel fine, and I can stabilize on my heel, when I'm using that leg that is injured. So I feel good, overall. It's been a work in progress. I think I've become a better competitor, a better coach, because a lot of my clients are injured, or maybe at some point get injured. So being able to, obviously program much better, and understanding, certain things that, you're limited to, even in frustrations. I've been frustrated as heck, right? But I kind of work through it. I just kind of go exert it in a different way, and try to find those nagging, painful areas. Is what I've been doing that rehab work, because I feel the actual, you know, progression in those areas and just lengthening my muscles. So I feel good. So how about you, Ali? How's, you know, the pregnancy going? But, you know, I know for you, it's a bigger probably change these last few weeks.
Oh my God. Yeah. Far out, heaps actually. He's gotten heaps bigger again. So we are 100% growing. And that's not just me, that's him as well. But
of course,
you're starting to feel the pressure now through the pelvic floor. You're starting to feel that heaviness that comes through your actual whole belly. You start to get a little bit like, I've been getting restless legs. So it's this random thing where your leg just wants to like move all the time, and it's really annoying. So when I'm trying to like just relax and watch a television program or something, it's just doing this crazy thing. And I'm getting a little bit of affected sleep. So, you know, you're waking up a little bit more. There's constant, you know, toilet breaks throughout the night. A little bit of insomnia at times too.
More pressure
so,
there.
Yeah. So it's just, you're at that point now where, yeah, the physical effects of it are far greater. Yeah, you do. You have moments like I feel like I'm fine in the mornings. In the mornings, I'm probably a little bit, I feel a little heavier in the actual pelvic and in the lower abdominal region because he's sitting so low. But by the afternoon, as he sort of moves and stretches and does whatever, on top of you eating, he's pushed right up, like his butt sits right up underneath my rib cage. And so then I find I get breathlessness, but I also find it really hard to eat in the evening. So I've had to adjust my sort of structure and schedule and strategy. Yeah. So instead of having sort of 3 main meals and a couple of snacks, I now eat like 8 to 9 times a day, and I'm eating like smaller snack-based meals. So splitting my bigger meals across, smaller portions, and just eat. I feel like I'm just constantly eating.
Yeah, like not have to push so much food at once.
Yeah, but so that I'm not sitting heavy up here, and you know, it feels like it's going nowhere. So that's kind of where it's been the last couple of weeks. We had our scan yesterday to it was basically a follow-up from the one that we did a few weeks ago. And so you could see, oh my God, it freaks me out a little bit. You could see him. So his head's right down. So almost it's in the passage ready to come.
I could not believe how the progression of these sonograms are.
Oh yeah.
Mind blown, by the way.
So good, right?
It's just incredible. You could see almost everything. Like I was just like amazed when they were showing me some examples of the sonogram like a few weeks back. So I can only imagine what he looks like now.
The new ones yesterday were really cool because since the one we did, you know, 3 weeks ago, this one showed, so we got to see like his head's right down in the sort of passageway. It's not locked yet, so he's got movement. He's not, you know, sort of stuck there. But that's where his head tends to sit. And then his butt's like right up here, right, like literally just underneath my boobs. That's where the butt's sitting. So that's a pretty long, when you're looking at it on the screen, it's pretty long. And then his legs are both down.
Pushing down.
Butt's up here, they're both down. His toes are over his head and his knees bent. So I'm like, oh my God, this kid's going to be so long and his legs are going to be so long. And then he was grabbing his feet and shoving his toes in his mouth in the screening. It was so funny. It was cute though. And then in yesterday's, because he's obviously grown and everything's just all up in his face, up in his grill, we couldn't get too many of his whole face, but we were getting beautiful side profiles. And he's having a good little chuckle to himself. We got all these ones with him smiling and smirking and drinking and then chewing on his feet again. It was so funny, but it was great. She sat with us for an hour and a half, this woman, because she was determined to try to get the whole face, but we just couldn't, because no matter what we did to move him, myself, like I had to do jumps, I had to touch my toes, I was doing all these things to try to move his position. His legs are just too long. So they were just wrapped up around his head the whole time. We could not get him
Christus
to move them. And I'm like, yeah, they are not coming from me. Those legs are definitely not part of my genetic code. That is the other side for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's all exciting. I'm so pumped, and everything looks, upright for you too. So this is all good feedback. So it's a little catch up for you guys.
Yeah.
We're moving on to one of the most important topics that I think us as coaches have to deal with probably on a day-to-day basis, and even as coaches on social media have to deal with this on our own in our own personal lives. And this is like how to handle social media pressure. And Allie, like I know that's something that ongoing for years.
Oh my gosh,
it's a problem. But how do you handle social media pressure?
Babe, like I think that this is, and I thought this was a great topic for us too, coming off of having had Britt on, where we were talking about, the ramifications of that getting stuck, right? So for me, when I think of social media as a whole, and a lot of which, when I look at it, I just think pure rubbish. It's a 5-minute highlight reel. You're really just trying to throw out this picture perfect life, and it's far from it. I have no doubt. And some of these people I know, and I know it's nothing like what they put on social media. So I often think to myself, it's just all bullshit. Like it really is. And so
it really is.
I wanted to discuss this today because, in the world of competition and when it comes to our athletes, 90% of them get to a certain point in prep, and then they're literally all they're talking about is who they're going to be up against and sending you screenshots and telling you about this chick or that chick. Or I don't give a flying rat's ass, mate. Stop showing me this stuff. I don't care what she does. I don't care what she looks like. The only person you've got to worry about is you, right?
Yes.
But there's this pressure. And I think everyone listening to this, we've brought it back to the competition space, but this happens on every level for everyone. Whether you're a housewife and you're looking at Mary Jane's bloody page down the road and everything's picture perfect with picture perfect, filters and everything's layouts all right. And her kids are never messy and her husband's amazing. He's always baking her something it's all crap. It's not real. And then you've got the teenager sitting in their room who's like got their mates always posting about, how perfect their makeup is, or how fantastic
or their new Louis bag, right? Or like
or their grades and how they're top of the class. And this shit is across every level of everyone's lives. I don't care what you do. You are exposed to this pressure that comes from sitting down and getting stuck in a phone and believing the crap that you see.
Like, social media now has this power over so many people. And I think this is just across 100%. The globe. Just this marketing technique that all these companies are using to make you buy things. Obviously, we see social media profiles and we want to be and live in their life, and we wish we were them. And all of this pressure is really marketed in so many different ways. And it really comes down to who we follow, what we follow, and what we allow in. So a lot of this time, it's like you're living this fake lifestyle, even to live up to the standards to what you're seeing. And I think 100%. At the end of the day, like Allie nailed it. Like it's fucking fake. Like it is a highlight reel.
I mean, Steph, how many do you know in your direct sphere where you can honestly look at their feed and go, I know that's who they are? Because I do that with you. I do that with maybe, this is going to sound bad, but this is the truth. There's maybe a dozen people that I know of professionally, personally,
on my two
that
hands.
I see their feed and I'm like, yeah, that's accurate AF. That is accurate AF. That is exactly what that chick is all about. That is exactly how they dress, act, turn up, show up. That's super authentic. There's literally a dozen.
It really is. And I think that's why. So, and you're right. Like I could keep it on two hands, and I don't want to point fingers because like,
no, you don't need to do that.
About, like that's not what this is about. But what I want everyone to realize is the fact that there is so much fakeness put out there. And this comes across for people that may have a standard that they have to meet for their maybe, sponsors or things that they have to do. There's a different requirement for every individual as to why they're on social media. Some people do it for clout, right? right? Just like for freaking validation, for just some, extra exposure, they just want to do it to, boast. Others do it for business, some businesses, like you're just trying to, have a little audience and have a business being ran through it. Others are doing it, to market themselves as maybe a competitor or an influencer. And once you start thinking those two things, and I think this is the biggest thing, like so many people want to be influencers nowadays, and like they just like a model, like an Instagram model, and like they want to, be sponsored, and they just think that it's all colorful and just very, easy, and they don't realize maybe even content creating or even, doing the shoots or all the things that it takes to really live up to those standards even, right? Like, so we have to understand all of this is photoshopped, all of this is edited, like all these things, like guys, my fucking photos, like please use them as an example. You can pull up this YouTube right now and compare me, to what
I was just gonna say, this is a prime example of where we 100% keep it real. We turn up every week to do these podcasts. Look at me. My hair's a freaking mess.
Have no makeup on.
We literally have no makeup on. Zero fucks given about whether or not that looks a certain way on YouTube. Like, who cares? This is an element of actually portraying true natural self, right? And you can still have your business format, and like if you look at either of our pages, you'll see your photo shoots. And obviously, because I'm pregnant, I'm not doing any of that at the moment. But you see all my educational stuff, right? Around food or whatever. In particular, I focus a little bit more on pregnancy. But you see me being an absolute goose. I'm not wearing makeup in my stuff. I'm posting, general everyday photos, images, and updates regarding what's going on with my either my pregnancy or in my family. Like there's real stuff, right? And I talk about the shitty parts. I talk about the stuff that's hard to juggle.
I think this is what the issue is, that social media, because it's a highlight reel, we're only showing the good, not the bad, and those that do the bad, right? Exactly, just kind of like the favorite moments or like the milestones, and which is great. I love that Ali actually shares so much more in depth, of course, of her day to day. And
oh my god, have you seen some of the crap that gets posted? That's like, stuff Christos has taken, which is that he never takes a flattering photo. There is nothing flattering about any image that Christos ever gets you in. It's always your worst. And I still share them. It is, it is funny moments and us doing silly things. And I think that's important.
How people will just justify a photo and think that they know the person and think like I am going to judge them, or even at this point,
exactly what it is.
Right? This could be you in this position where you're scared to even maybe post because you have trolls, you have freaking haters, and people critiquing you or judging you and all these things. And like, guys, you have to overcome, like, if this is the pressure you're feeling, like maybe you need to clean out the people that follow you even, right? Like that's kind of what's creating anxiety over what you're about to post, or even like maybe the things that you do follow, unfollowing things that make you feel lesser or make you feel like this is a life that is maybe not inspirational. It's actually making you feel like it's unattainable. Like there's a difference of having motivation and inspiration through other people's lives and, what they do and kind of how they're, going about, obviously their situation, but it's more about actually having a reality like check, because you have to understand that this person's probably still struggling just like you to be able to get to where they are. They're just not talking about it. So having a reality check, I think, is very important. And even taking a break, if it's really affecting you to a point where you're just so worried, you're on your phone 24/7, you're, obviously just kind of indulge so much that you're worried about your likes, your followers, your views, much that you're starting to buy followers, buy likes, and buying views.
The worst thing.
I'm like, wait,
you're getting involved in these engagement groups where it's not real, right? So then you have all of these people commenting, oh babe, this, that, love you, like, and it's just literally rubbish. And you might look at it and go, that looks good, or it might be helping my algorithm, but it's not real. And then there's this self-inflated moment of, well, I'm doing great, I'm successful because of this empirical measurement, but it's not reality. And this is the thing, like, if you're getting caught up or you're finding that you're looking at, certain pages and there's a level of FOMO, there's a level of, oh, this person's more successful than me because of this, or this, there's pressure on me to look or feel a certain way at this point in time. If you're getting those things out of it, then I would strongly suggest that you analyze what it is that you're actually even looking at. And then I would definitely say, I agree with you. It's about taking a break. There's actually research being done on this, right? And there has been research done on this, which I thought was really interesting, and about the correlation between social media and this increasing statistic of perfectionism, which, okay, back in the day, you were always kind of led to believe that if you sat in a job interview and said that perfectionism was a trait of yours, or it was a perceived strength even, that was a good thing. I honestly will tell you right now, if you sat down in front of me for an interview to work with me and you said to me, I'm a perfectionist, I can be very honest and say you'd have a 30% chance of being hired by me. For that fact alone, I probably wouldn't want you. And you want to know why? Because straight away, I'm going to know these things about you. You're going to have paralysis by analysis. You're going to be the person that leaves everything to the last minute, and then you're going to cram it, and you're going to be really struggling to get it done. You're going to second guess yourself. You're going to self-doubt, and you'll have moments of extreme anxiety. You're going to always be looking at the grass being greener and always be self-critiquing against other players in the market, either our competition and or your teammates. None of that sounds like a good fun time for me as a manager or as a boss. I definitely don't want to hire that in my place.
If someone said that trait, I'm like, well, I already know I don't want to work with that person, because I've worked with people like that. And I've actually dealt with even having to try to think that you do have to live up to the standard of even trying to be somewhat of a perfectionist, because you get put into these shoes and you're like, oh, I've got to live up to being a champion. I have to live up to doing it year round, and all these things that you really start getting sucked into and start creating so much feeling of overwhelming like anxiety that starts
pressure
up, and this is exactly what pressure is, right? Like, and for me, I think one of the biggest things that, if I start having any suffering side of mental health, I step away. I completely check out of social media, and I probably do it more often than most people. I just kind of disappear, and that's okay, because guess what? Like, I know the people that truly, truly care about me and that are actually, there for me, are not going to go away just because I didn't do a post. I didn't go away because, obviously I haven't done a story or done some type of update. And I think it's really important for us to understand that those that truly matter are probably not ghosts, on social media. They're not going to be able to come to your rescue. Number one, I always come to that reality. I'm like, well, don't get me wrong. Social media is very powerful. Like, I think
it can be.
Social media is one of those tools that can be very positive. Like, we can make really good relationships and connections. Like, Ellie, if it wasn't for WBFF, like, I still think we would have been able to connect in some way. And I still think
100%.
we don't have a really good relationship, but there 100%. Is a lot of negativity that comes with the social media platform, and it's how we use the tools. Like, we could use a tool to sabotage us or to help us. So we need to know how to use social media. And
on that note, which is something you just said, which I think is profound, because I'm actually doing a post on this in the very near future, is, for me, there's two sides of this coin too. So you get the people that constantly post all of the highlight reels. They're never, they literally roll out of bed, full face makeup type stuff, right? And then you've got the people though that are the big, I call them napalmist. They just drop napalm everywhere, and it's like big defamatory, shaming, negative, opinionated blasting of everyone and everything in any given industry. That, to me, they're the same mold. They're as bad as each other in the sense where it's not true reality. And if you were to sit in front of that person in real life, that they would not have a conversation with you that was entirely like that. Exactly. Like,
number one, I've met those kind of people, and they actually just have very fat fingers, and all they do is like to, they're trolls in their own way, like they just have a little more knowledge, they have the audience, they obviously have a fan club that goes with the same, vibe and same energy. So that just gives them a little more extra power. And, when you meet them in person, guys, they are just actually people that do not have any self-confidence, actually are not very even, you don't have to be an introvert, but you should actually be able to be good in a social setting.
Not socially engaging. They're a bit socially.
Yeah, they're not.
They're,
it's okay. I think most of the world is very a lot of introverts. So we can relate. Like not everybody has to be outgoing to be a social media influencer or even a person that has, a good profile. It's actually probably a lot of introverts that I've actually met that have some of the bigger profiles. They don't do well in public, which is why they constantly just lock themselves up in a room and just do content, because and all they do is record themselves, and they don't have a boyfriend or maybe a wife or anything, because all they do is stay in their head. And that's what social media really is. Like, you're in your head, you're creating this story, you're creating this narrative of what you want to follow. Oh, I want to follow a model and I want to look like this girl. She has abs or she has the glutes. So I'm going to follow this girl because I want to look like her. Or I want this lifestyle. I want to be on this boat, and I'm going to follow this person because they're an entrepreneur, like, things that you may want to do. So you're creating your feed. So clean up your feed. That's my biggest tip. Like besides taking the break, you have to absolutely go through your feed and see the things that there is motivating. Trust me, I'm not saying I don't follow things that, have money related things that are successful. It just means that I'm not going to make it reality and think that that person just got there, overnight either. I'm going to know that that's something that's going to take hard work. And that's the same thing as an exercise. You're not going to just get, glutes from one exercise you see on social media. So knowing the context. So the context for me is, if I see a picture, most likely it's edited. Okay. Most of the time now, even with the normal photo,
like normal photos.
Normal photos. People are using these apps are getting ridiculous. Like, if you don't know about these,
honestly, I think I would need a uni degree to work one of these apps. I have no idea how people get so proficient and fast at these editing apps. Okay. It blows my mind.
Everyone, listen up. If you don't know this, you do not want to believe everything you see, because if they're even promoting a product, they may just be doing it again, because I know these girls firsthand. Okay. Like, they get paid a lot of money to do these posts. They don't want to look like shit, obviously, when they put the post up. So they're going to make their waistline taper down. They're going to make their glutes rounder, they're going to make their face look a little bit better, but they get caught. Like, if you haven't already seen some people that get called out, like, there's now people that are kind of like on the scheme, trying to like just call people out, which is fine by me, whatever, do your own thing. People that are out there trying to just look at Photoshop photos, but it's really a big thing that girls are believing these waistlines are real, these glutes are real, and these are actually not actual jobs. Like, they're not, plastic surgeries. These are just done on
just really good filters.
They're very good at editing their freaking waist. And look, you guys can even do this on a video. Okay, people that are like, oh, well, they just did a check-in video and they look amazing. It's moving. They just did a turn, whatever. Guys, there's video apps now that can freaking just reduce. And what it does, it shrinks the compression of the video. So the compression, if you don't understand anything about how video editing works, if you compress a file, it's going to actually make it look longer, and it's going to make that person appear thinner. So what that does,
but then, Stephanie, at some point, they're going to see people in real life. Like,
that's what I was going to say next.
The flood. Do you know
I've
what I
seen
mean?
like people in person. They don't look like what they're posting. So we just have to come to the reality again. It's a reality check. Like, who are using these apps, please don't go on using these. I'm not encouraging this for you guys to freaking edit yourself, because then what happens is that you're not going to be happy with yourself. You have to live with yourself. You have to see yourself. So anytime you're doing this to yourself, if you're one of those individuals, I'm sorry to call you out, but stop, because you're starting to create an image of your own self that you want to see and not what others actually see.
Well, okay, my question is this. This is what I would fear for that person. If this is what they're doing, if there's someone that's constantly editing or changing their natural appearance, right? For the purpose of a perceived perfect image or video for social media. What happens when you are in an event or with a friend and a friend captures you as you really are and posts the natural photo or the natural video, or you're in an event and the event itself has televised and got you on a carpet somewhere naturally? Like, are you going to literally look at that image and be just absolutely disgusted? Are you going to demand your friend take it down? Are you going to say to them, hey, your filter was crap, I look like shit, what are you thinking? You're not my real friend. We're no longer friends, in fact, see you later. Like, what is going on?
It's true. And like, but what I want everyone to understand is that this is what like a lot of models do. And I don't want people to just believe it, especially here in the States. Ali, if you haven't been, if the Australians haven't been,
I didn't know about
I'm sure you guys are after, trust me. They like follow, you know what I mean? In the footsteps of a lot of these American models. So it's just a thing that I want everyone to be exposed to. So when you scroll through your feed, it may be edited, it may not. I'm not giving it to everyone. I just want you to understand that maybe that waistline or those legs, guys even do it, okay? Like I've seen guys that just blow up their quads or blow up their chest or their biceps. And you could see the background just shifted, like the whole cabinet just
don't you find that incredibly sad? Like, don't you think about that and think, man, if
it's for the likes,
can't just like be turning up, be improving themselves, be super focused on mastering progression and looking at the things that make them feel like they're a bit better today than they were yesterday. If they can't just do those things and instead they're lying, literally lying to themselves and then to the rest of the world about what they are at this point in time, then how are they ever going to actually just be happy or content? Because you're not ever.
See, that's the thing. You're not.
It's a very scary process.
It is. And I think what I've even came to terms, because I've fallen in the rabbit hole in the past where I'm like thinking I have to live up to a certain standard because of a social media presence. And I'm like, I have to put this shit out. Like, this is stupid. Like, this is completely something that you can easily start thinking. This is why these girls start going and getting freaking, facial
surgery.
Oh my God. Get surgery. They're going to go get more bigger lips and, obviously more filler. And look, there's nothing against that. I get Botox. It doesn't matter. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just talking actually about what's reality, okay? Like what is reality, and what we start believing is what starts making us feel lesser. So our mental health is at risk. We start actually suffering with depression, more anxiety, and we start funneling and spiraling out of control, and our emotions then start making us think that our current life is just not worthy, which is so untrue. So you need to snap out of it and put yourself into like a reality moment. I like to go outside, take a break from social media, get into nature, play with my dogs, hang out with my family, the things that matter the most.
And I think too, sharing some of that actual real shit on socials is the best thing you can do. I think also, being around people that don't filter everything is really fucking refreshing. And okay, so just so that we can kind of break this back in the research, right? So everyone understands this. What even is perfectionism and what has it been concluded to be, right? How have they defined it? So it has been defined as an irrational desire, keyword here being irrational desire, to achieve, along with being overly critical of oneself and all others. This was the really interesting part, because when I read this, I was like, wow, that's so true. The people that I know that say they suffer from this, paralysis through perfectionism, they're also the same people that are very quick to tell me about the flaws in other people. Always. I'm like, I don't care about Susie. That's not what we're focused on right now. It's about you, Karen. Let's look at you. You know what I mean? Like, but you'll find they do that. And so this was really interesting that they also linked the social media as one of the key powerful amplifiers. So one of the biggest contributing factors, right, that people started to sit inside of and be carried away by these perfectionist tendencies. Now, everyone actually has an element of wanting to be great or wanting to excel or wanting, looking for more from themselves. We all have that. That's natural. It's the levels to within which they consume you or they monopolize your focus, right? So for everyone listening to this, what are some of the signs? So when we're thinking about this and we're going, okay, well, am I a perfectionist? And I'm going to tell you that the most insecure people I know are perfectionists.
Oh yeah,
that's
facts.
facts.
Exactly insecure.
That's
lack
facts.
of confidence.
Most insecure. So this is what a perfectionist will do. These are some of the signs. So I want you to listen to this. If you are ticking the list because you're driving along and you've got your fingers just pointing up for each one that I'm saying, then there are some things you need to start working on, okay? So what do? They set unrealistic, extremely high expectations for themselves, for everyone else in their circle. They are very quick to find fault with others and with self. They are overly critical of someone else's mistakes. They are procrastinators through projection of fear of failure. So rather than fail, they will just not attempt something or they'll take twice as long to do it, which was what I was getting at earlier with my interview thing. I wouldn't hire a perfectionist because that is actually what I don't want in my business. They shrug off compliments. They're unable to accept them. They seem to forget every milestone of success they've had. They're unable to celebrate their success. They always look to specific people in their life for approval above others. They need the approval of others over their own, and they constantly seek validation.
Oh my goodness.
That is,
these are all things that
are right, powerful things. Now, look, you can be someone. Yeah, you can be someone though that might say tick one or two of those, and that's okay. That doesn't necessarily make you a perfectionist. What makes you a perfectionist is where you've got literally several, multiple, 3 or more type deal, right? And I would go so far as to say that anyone that is an unrealistic expectation of self person. So those people that we've had conversations about this on the podcast before. So I'll bring it back to this because a lot of our audience will understand it. I'm going to win. I'm going to go pro in this show. And that's it. And there is definitively nothing else for me. And if I don't, it's the judge's fault, my coach's fault, and it's all rigged anyway. I'm going to IFBB. That's what we're talking about here, right? So that's what a over the top high expectation with no flexibility in your mindset looks like. So if you have a fixed focus like that, or you have an unrealistic and often uncommunicated expectation of someone else, like Stephanie, as my coach, I expect you to be on the phone 24/7. I expect my food plan in 3 days early. I expect, and you've got these things, but I've never told you this though, Steph. So
yeah,
this is in my head, but I've not told you I expect this. But then when you fail on it, oh, well, of course she was going to fail because that's every coach is crap. I've never had a good experience and I'm just going to change.
Oh gosh.
Another really high expectation level of others.
So many unrealistic goals even that we put out there, like you had said about the first show or title card, whatever it is. It may be that you're gonna lose. Oh my gosh, this actually happened. I'm gonna lose 30 pounds in 30 days. I'm like, you guys are just nuts.
Yes,
this is ridiculous. This is unrealistic. Can it be done? It's been done. That's not the fact that we're trying to make here. It's the fact that you're going to really fucking hit hard. Okay. You're not going to succeed. And even if you do make it, you're not going to sustain it.
It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable, right?
So,
and it's also coming from a place of, okay, well, why, Steph? Why is that 30 pounds in 30 days? How's that going to change your life? Why is that even the number? Why is that the binary focus?
Yeah, but that same thing, perfectionism, when we go into social media too, right? We think that it's going to be a perfect, following, that we're going to never have negative comments, or that this is.
You'll never have anyone disagree with your opinion.
Right. We can't please everybody. Like, this is another reality that I had to come to terms with a long time ago. Like, you can't please the whole world. Okay. We cannot please everyone. So we have to be able to just create a life, okay, that we are happy and proud of. And generally, if you're not happy, okay, this happiness, it really does come from internal, okay? Like, I want everyone to really look inside, because if you're not happy and you're looking to social media to make you happy or to seek happiness or validation, kind of like what we've been saying, have the perfectionism type of traits, you may not be the perfectionist, but you're feeling some of the traits that perfectionists have. So we want you to learn.
Sorry, the dogs are going nuts.
Dogs are awesome. You want to cut it for a second?
All right. She's sorting it out. We're all good. So I agree with what you just said too, that, you can fall prey sometimes to just even feeling the effects of some of the perfectionist feels. Like, you might okay, Steph, even at our best moments, when we're pretty fucking grounded people, we're more about mastering self and progression than we are perfection, right? Were we both always like that? Probably not. At some point in our earlier life, I'm sure we probably had moments of perfectionism, because
that's what I struggled with. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't show up.
Fear of what other people might have thought of your attempt at something, or like even your stereotype.
I couldn't even put myself in a place where I was like, okay, I feel comfortable with doing it, So it was because of not just thoughts. It was again internal. It was way more inside. It was really what I hadn't really dealt with in myself, And once I started cutting that out, and I'm like, you know what? I can't please everybody, because you do try. You try as a human.
I think that's really a youthful thing. I found, like when I think back on it, even in myself, when I had those moments, for me, it wasn't necessarily about this irrational desire to have everyone like me. I honestly never gave a flying fudge what anyone thought. I was like, whatever. But what my issue was that I was an overperformer. So shock, right? I had to hit these certain numbers and targets that I would set for myself financially in this particular scenario within a work context. And I had to be the best, right? I had to be the best that I could be. I never really looked at it as the best against other people, but more so the best I could be. But it was just a stupid high expectation of myself, right? And what it did was it prevented me from having connections with people at a much deeper level, because I just found them in inconvenience in the pursuit of my level of
you're one track minded. So going into the truth that we said about the perfectionist, really not being able to celebrate the milestones, because this has been something I related to, again, when I was going through this, was me not being able to not just show up, but I also couldn't really see or be proud of how far I had actually come, and actually take it in and be like, holy shit, like I've actually done the things that I wanted and wished I was to do, and now I'm here, and I haven't really realized it. It hasn't really hit me, because you're still always striving to be perfect and go to the next thing and want more. So comes to maybe that title or that card that you were, saying that was going to make you satisfied, and that was maybe the goal. What if it doesn't give you that satisfaction? So what if maybe you hit a number of followers, or maybe your likes just completely blow out of the water, and it made you happy one time, but it really, after that, what? Right? Like it's nothing, it's empty. It's empty. You're finding emptiness.
A great example of that, right, in real life scenario is where someone has this, perfectly planned wedding. They're spending all this time on it. It's taken them 2 years to plan it. They've literally taken a second mortgage on their house to fund it. The weather better be perfect. I'm absolute bridezilla. My best friends are going to disown me after this day. And then they have their special day, and it all goes beautiful and perfect and like they thought. And then there's this bluesy period post, and they can't work out why, but there's this, I don't know, it's just not what they thought it was going to be, or it's that, like, what now, right? Because they've pinned everything on this one day or this one event. And for some people it's a show, for other people it's a wedding, it might be a promotion in a job, it could be anything. But when you have focused and it's all on this, and all the emotions and all of the success rides on that one thing, you get the post blues, you get the post attainment blues, you get what we call consumer dissonance. You've purchased it, you've acquired it, you've got it, and then what now? Like it doesn't even live up to what I thought it was going to
get
feel
there
like.
though, right? Like that's even if we finally get through all the bullshit to be able to even get to that place. Like most people don't even get there. Like we don't even we feel lost. You feel kind of like you don't have, again, the pressure. It kind of numbs you, or you show up and you're just kind of like a little ghost on social media, and you're just like, looking through other lenses, other people's fake lives. And you have to remember that this is really putting not just your self-esteem down, but it's actually something that you really need to pinpoint and start thinking of. What is it that I internally need to work on? And this is things that you could actually start doing. And if it's just boredom, because I think sometimes this actually comes down to you just not having anything to do, find things to do. Like for me, it's organizing, finding projects, doing some stuff around the house, things that I've been putting off. It's very important for me to stay active and moving, because social media is very, again, like numbing. It just completely just makes you just completely be a little zombie or a little ghost. I don't know. Those are the best analogies as far as how people even surf through the net. It's like, what are you doing with your life? You're wasting so much time. And these people already are just so like numb to maybe their emotions. They're just digging them up even more and more and more. And they just become a big pile. And then you have some deep shit to work on and you don't even know where to start. So start thinking of what it is that triggers maybe your social media pressure. Is it you having to post every day? Then don't post every day. If you want, please just stop posting as often, and it helps alleviate some of that pressure already. I think that standard alone, because you read it on an article that it said that Instagram algorithms require you to post 2 to 3 times a day for you to be successful. Like, let me tell you, algorithms right now are shit with Instagram. So don't even worry about.
They change all the time. They change all the time, right? So you just got to evolve with that.
Well, for example, like they may be able to publish it to all your audience, and some of them they'll like hold it. So it's weird how Instagram algorithms are. I wouldn't even try to figure them out. Just do your own thing. Post it if you want to. If you don't want to post, don't post. Off social, take a break. If that's causing you anxiety, any type of feeling of lack of confidence, anything that makes you feel lesser, or you're comparing yourself way more and you can't stop, then you definitely got to get off. Be present. The biggest thing about reality is what is real. You need to actually put the phone down, listen, and feel. Like that's being present.
And I also think too, people wear this perfectionism like a badge of honor, like it's some great thing, right? And it's also worn with this thing of, it's my personality, it's who I am. Well, I'm like, no, it's not. It's one facet of how you are behaving based upon insecurities and all these other things you've got, right? But it's changeable. It is 100% something that you can change about yourself, and I know that because, like I said, my focus, back in corporate was very different. And I 100% worked hard to change that and to step into and out of that ridiculous level of expectation I had for myself. Like it was an unhealthy level, right? And it was at the detriment of relationships and connections. So I don't have that problem anymore. But this is my point when I say, this is my point when I say you can change these things. So don't think you're stuck in it. And if you are listening to the conversation we've had and you've ticked those boxes on the questions I asked earlier, then just know that there are things you can do about it. So what are some of the things that I tend to ask of clients, or even of myself, if I catch myself doing something or stepping into this loop where I'm expecting too much of myself? I always ask this, especially to clients. When you walk away from it, how does it make you feel about yourself? When you walk away from either, what it is that you're pushing onto yourself as an expectation of outcome, or whether or not it's a conversation with friends, or whether or not it's social media. When you walk away from it, how do you feel about yourself? Do you feel good or bad? Do you feel enough? Do you feel compelled to make a change? Do you feel like you have to change something about your body? Do you become preoccupied and then hyper-focused on something in yourself, your body, your person, that you didn't worry about so much prior to this? You know, are you looking at aspects of someone else, whether it be personality, values, or lifestyle, and then going, mine doesn't measure up? Because if you're answering yes to any of that, then I would be saying remove them from your feed, get off social media, take a break, as Steph has talked about many times, or reevaluate what it is that actually makes you happy. Because I think that a lot of the times it's taking you away from an awareness of what is actually important to you, and you just lose track of what you actually value. You know, you get caught up in this mirror, you know, it's a smoke screen, and that's what I think most people fail to see, right? So I want you to think about those questions, and when you're, you know, maybe answering yes to a lot of the perfectionist traits, start thinking about this when you catch yourself in that loop of, oh my God, she's got this, or she's done this, and she's just got that, and I've been working that for 6 months and I still don't have that yet. Like, stop doing that, and instead ask yourself those questions about how it makes you feel and why you think it even matters. Because those answers are going to be the things that will guide you through and away from being looped like the hamster in the wheel, I think, on this whole comparison path, because that's what this is about.
It really is. And the comparison of lives, of bodies, of, you know, just families, whatever it is, like relationships and all that. That's what I meant. And it's really, it takes away so much. It's draining. I think it's actually one of those things that the emotion that actually gets drained out of you starts making you a certain way, like bitter. You start kind of having an outlook on life that's very bitter, and your mental health then actually gets affected. And that's what really needs to be prioritized out of this. And for me, I mean, one of the things that I always remind myself, and this could maybe remind yourself and help you, is that no one in this world is you. No one.
Exactly.
There's no one else that is you. And that is your freaking power. So you have to own it. And you have to take that every single day, live it and breathe it, and stop freaking scrolling and trying to, you know, be somewhere else. So just, you know, live your own life, be yourself, you know, and really own that. That's my biggest tip for anyone. I remind myself this because there's no one else in the world that's like me. And I know that. And I have to remind myself that, because I try to maybe, you know, at some point, maybe feel these ways. And it's not okay, guys. Like, I want everyone to take it, you know, to heart. We all deal with this. Think that this is a very, very important topic. Now, it's not just the comparison, but it's actually the social media pressure and what it's created. I think it's even created even more after COVID or during COVID, because we were locked down, and, you know, obviously we had just so many life changes, and then people on social media grew. I feel like the TikTok, you know, era, and
100%.
all of this stuff. So just remember, so there's so much more than social media. Connect to your reality, connect with your life, with yourself, go outside, connect with nature. That's reality. That's what's real. So definitely look inside and stop looking at other people's lives to look for happiness.
I really do love that. And, you know, look, for me, I think my biggest lesson over the last, you know, 15 years has been that if you truly want to transform your life, truly want to make change, and want to, you know, live the life that you'll be proud of, is that you can't chase perfection. You have to give up the rat race. You have to accept reality. And then you literally have to have the courage to be disliked. Who cares?
Man,
who cares if it's someone's cup of tea or not? You know what I mean? Like, your vibe will attract your tribe, and you're always going to have people around you that will be the best people for you, that get you. You don't have to be something for everyone. And I think the sooner that you come to that, oh my God, the less of this perfectionist trap you'll be caught in, that's for sure.
You'll feel free. I think the biggest thing out of this is the more we create, again, these narratives that we are doing within our own mind, and then we see on social media that are also fake lives, we have to set ourselves free from all of these fake stories and fake things that we see, and start actually creating real things that we know are real in our own day-to-day. And that's what grounds me. Like my dogs, again, like I love dogs. That's why I didn't care that they barked, you know, but it was more about you know, keeping, you know, something for my day to day, which is of course my
Yeah.
partner, you know, my family, my mom, being able to call her, you know, being able to, you know, FaceTime my sister, or just do something like take a walk outside and, you know, get some sun or feel the wind and actually, you know, get a breath of fresh air and actually
Yeah.
thank God for another day and be grateful that I'm not in a situation where, you know, of course I'm fighting for my life. Like if you're alive, you should be freaking grateful. And that's something we forget when we get on social media is gratitude, because we start wanting everything else and start
Everything
looking
else.
at the other side, and the grass is greener over there. And I don't have this, and this isn't enough. I'm not good enough. I don't have the legs. I don't got the booty. I don't got the lips, or I don't got the abs, whatever, all these things that you start thinking. I don't got the Louis bag. I don't got the
What
Gucci.
I don't have is I don't have these amazing, ridiculous video apps and and editing
I haven't
systems.
tested them out,
Like that's
but
what I don't have. I'm missing out apparently.
I've seen the girls that use them, and I they showed me, and I'm like, well, this is mind blowing. Like, this is just
It's
insane. And
crazy to me. I can't even believe you can do that with a video. So I've learned something new today.
don't don't
And
don't
it
believe
blows
everything
my
that's
mind.
on social media.
So
So
I could take a video of myself and essentially make myself look not pregnant. That's pretty mad.
you'll look skinny pregnant
I'll look
because
skinny pregnant. Wow.
it'll make you look like you know, like inner, like you've got a waistline and you've got
Oh my
probably the
God.
belly. Oh, look,
Oh,
I'm sure
that's
you
so
can cut
funny.
out and Photoshop the baby. I'm sure. Like there's everything can be done on those freaking apps. So just don't believe everything you see on social media, you guys. We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode.
Yeah.
And
Hey, you know what I would love for everyone
Yeah.
listening to this? Because I'm always down for following accounts that are like just really cool, really, really authentic, a really good mix of informative and fun. And I really love when I stumble across one, right? Or when I have a client I start working with who naturally is one of these, and I get so much joy out of them. I would love to have you guys tag us by sharing someone that you think represents what we've discussed today. All the positive stuff, not, you know, highlight reels. I don't want a perfectly imaged aesthetic page. I just want fun, right? So tag us in it, because I would love to be able to see, you know, what you all find enjoyment from. And I would love to see everyone sharing more of the real stuff than just the highlight reel, general highlight reel. Like, I would
motivated me more, Ali, to be able to maybe look. I've always struggled with just, to me, it's very time consuming, and I'm already really busy. So I think for me, it's like having the time to actually write down all my thoughts, and that's part of journaling. But for me, it's really something I like to do just with outdoors. I don't even like to pull out a pen and paper. Like for me, it's like actually being able to take the walks and just be alone. Like for me, it's alone time. That's my kind of journaling, and I do get to, you know, let my thoughts out and kind of, you know, be grateful and, you know, say these affirmations and things. And I think that, again, that grounds me, because sometimes I start over analyzing when I'm starting to write, and I start erasing and like, so for me, it's just an easy way. So I do agree about being able to, you know, get yourself to, you know, get more exposed to these things. It's very important for me. I want to share more, and I want you guys to know maybe a little more of my backstory. So actually, I don't think social media, besides my close people and people that know me, know my real story, or everything that, you know, obviously has led me to here. So maybe one day I'll be able to get all of that written out for you. But I'll open up more to show those challenges, because Ali, like you're right, like it's more about being able to share the opposite, not just
the reality, the real fabric, you know, the highs and the lows, I think show the full dimension of someone. And, you know, Steph, you've got amazing dimensions. So, you know, being able to show all of them would make you 10 times more the champion in my eyes. So, you know, I love that you're going to do that. And I think, you know, everyone listening to this Steph will be one of those accounts for sure that you're, you know, boasting about.
It makes me cringe. Okay, it makes me cringe.
No, it can't be like that. You just got to throw it out there. And so, yeah, I would love to see that. If you all can, you know, share some of that, that would be great. And then anyone that is, you know, catching themselves ticking these boxes, knowing that obviously identifying they've got some of these they're getting into stuck in a rabbit hole of perfectionism, there are ways out. So just start working through it bit by bit. And like I said, it all comes down to having the courage to be disliked. It really does.
Yeah,
100%.
That. Be
Well, I
authentic
really hope,
you, guys.
yeah,
Be
exactly.
authentic you,
Exactly.
and don't give a shit about what anybody thinks. So just continue, being you, and that is your power. And let's roll on with this new month's coming up. So I'm very excited. We're finishing off this month strong of May, and we're getting closer and closer to the summer here and the winter for you guys.
Winter for us. Winter for us.
Stay tuned for the next episode, you guys. Thank y'all for listening this far, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Queen Divas, Queens of Fitness podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Queen Divas Pod, on Twitter at Queen Divas 4, and follow our hosts on Instagram, Alicia at Alicia Gowans _WBFF Pro, and Steph at Stephanie Ayala 7. See you all next week.